Can I also say to you that the members of the panel have been to the sites, have read the material that's been placed before them, and of course read the council officers' reports and recommendations. Before I start, I'll introduce the panel that will be deliberating on your matters today. But before doing that, can I ask everyone to please place your microphone on mute until you're speaking, and then we'll call on you to unmute. Can I start by introducing myself as chair today? My name's Gary Shields. I'm a planner and urban designer for over 40 years. I've worked as a consultant and in councils, and I've also worked as a commissioner in the court. I'm also serving on other panels, which I must say I enjoy quite immensely. Can I introduce Emma, our community representative? Emma.
Thank you, Gary. Yes, I'm the community representative on today's panel. I currently reside in Carlton. I've been living in the Bayside council area since 2007. My experience is also in architecture and planning, and I currently work for the state government to manage the state design review panel as well. So I'm pretty familiar with these panel processes. Thank you for having me today.
Thank you. Judy.
Thank you, Gary. I'm a registered planner. My name's Judy Clark. I've got over 35 years experience in local government, working as a town planner, and I've worked for several councils at managing development assessment. I'm an expert member on some other panels. I'm also a council appointed member of a regional panel, and I'm a sole trader. Thank you, Gary.
Thank you, Judy. Ladies and gentlemen, the first item we have today is...
Could I introduce myself, Gary?
Oh, I do apologise, Ross.
That's all right.
I'm sorry.
Thank you. My name is Ross Bonthorn. I'm an architect, urban planner. I was previously the principal architect and one of the directors for the Lend-Lease group of companies for some 29 years, and also served on the Sydney City Council from 1974 till 1991. When I was asked and appointed to establish the Pittwater Council, and subsequently was elected to the Pittwater Council, and have served on any number of panels and committees, and both public and private. Currently, I'm still involved at the conceptual and strategic level for large-scale mixed-use projects in Australia, Asia, Middle East, India, China, etc., and serving on several panels and committees. Thank you.
Save the best for last. Thanks, Ross. I do apologise again. Again, ladies and gentlemen, the first item that we have today is generated a considerable amount of interest. It's 1581 Botany Road, Botany, and we've got a number of speakers that are listed to speak. And I understand that Michael Daly, who I can see on screen directly in front of me, has another pressing commitment afterwards, and it's asked if he can be elevated in the speaking order. And Mr. Daly, we're happy to accede to your request. So would you
well,
like
thank you very much for that, Mr. Chairman and panel members. I'm heading into the city to address a bunch of lawyers at 7 o'clock. I'd much rather continue talking to you. But anyway, thank you very much for the work that you do. This, as you say, Mr. Chairman, is a contentious development. Because it's completely out of keeping with the local area, and the local residents have made their feelings known. Can I just say that in our neck of the woods, in Botany, Banks Meadow and surrounding suburbs, we're not NIMBYs. We've been accepting increased populations, increased heights, increased densities, increased busyness from the port, from the airport, and all of those things for not just years, but decades and decades, because we do realise that we are in a strategically important area of Sydney, and we do welcome the fact that those sorts of activities do bring economic activity, they bring jobs to our area, and we don't mind that. But the way that the area has grown up has been one where residents have had to coexist with great pressures. As I say, there's surrounded by industry, one of Australia's busiest airports, next to one of Australia's busiest ports, And the population of the Bayside area in the south, the old Botany Council area, simply burgeons during the day. There are tens of thousands of workers that come in, and we welcome them, and we welcome all the increased activity and pressure and all that brings. But what we've done over the years is to make sure that when the activities cease in the evening, the neighbourhood goes back to the residents. So when I was the Minister for Roads, I instituted a heavy vehicle ban. No vehicles over 12 metres can come down Botany Road through Botany and Banks Meadow shops. We had the road resealed to make it quieter. We dropped the speed limit from 60 to 50 to make it quieter. And we have resisted applications like the one that this committee refused. And we thank you for a 24-hour BP not far from this particular application. Because when all the workers go home during the day, the suburb reverts to what it is, just a nice, quiet neighbourhood suburb. And for all the reasons that the council outlined and that your committee agreed with in respect of the BP, increased noise, increased possibility of crime, increased traffic, decreased safety, decreased loss of amenity, all of the factors that attended that application are here, but they're probably amplified. You see, what we know will happen is that if this McDonald's is opened during the night, there are young people looking for places to go. They don't all go to the pub. They'll come and get their food from McDonald's, and they'll sit in the car park with the radio going and the doors open, and no one will be able to stop them from doing that. So for the reasons that that council advanced, I ask on behalf of the local residents that you make the same decision in regards to this application as you did in relation to the BP, because this is worse. Its effects on the neighbourhoods will be more amplified than BP, and it's totally out of keeping with what is really, after 10 p.m, a quiet residential neighbourhood. I've said enough. I know you've got plenty on the agenda, but I really thank you for the opportunity to address you this afternoon.
Thank you. Has the panel got any questions of Mr. Daly?
Just agree, 100%.
Thank you, Mr. Daly.
Thank you.
And good luck with your meeting.
Thanks very much. Thanks for accommodating me.
Pleasure. Bye. Can I move to Ms. Bennett, please? That's the next one I've got on the list. Ms. Bennett, are you there?
Through you, Mr. Chair, I think it's Miss Rachel Thornton is next.
Okay. Ms. Thornton.
Yes, I'm here.
Thank you.
May I begin?
Yes, please. You've got 3 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you for allowing me to speak this evening. I am one of the many affected families living in single-storey dwellings directly opposite this site. On behalf of hundreds of residents, I would like to second the reasons for refusal made by Bayside Senior Development Assessment Planner. To date, at least 7 different professionals in their fields have deemed this DA to be dangerous, detrimental to the vision of the area, traffic generating, noise generating, light generating, crime generating, and all-round impact generating for the community. Assessor 1 TF New South Wales states that the DA would increase traffic by up to 340 vehicles per hour, and council notes this as an increase of up to 260% for traffic at this location. Assessor 2, Council Traffic Advisory Committee, provided 7 significant points as to why they object. Assessor 3, Colston Buddenco's review of the amended traffic report states this development will only reduce road safety in the area and notes 6 other issues. 4, New South Wales Police deem it a medium crime risk, citing 8 different crime risks. 5, Council's Environmental Health Officer's report stated support was still not provided, and additionally, the plan of management only controls a small portion of the noise and equipment from the proposal. 6, an independent acoustic consultant stated the operation will give rise to adverse acoustic impact onto surrounding neighbours. This is in addition to light spill and traffic movements. 7, Council's Senior Assessment Planner notes, amongst many other issues, 17 individual points in the DCP this application does not meet. There are no solutions to these issues, particularly ones off-site, which has been acknowledged by the applicant. The site simply is not suitable for this type of operation or a McDonald's of any kind. The current surrounding dangers and impacts at this location must be taken into account. Council and panel denied BP Petrol's application for 24/7 operation last month, acknowledging the current dangers and impacts at this location. This DA has more issues and impacts than BP, acknowledged by a multitude of impartial experts. Surely reason can see this site is not appropriate. This application proposes to take so much away: our safety and our children's safety, our village feel, our trees, our amenity due to our isolation on Botany Road, our peaceful night times, our clean streets and parks, our ability to sit in our front rooms with the windows and blinds opened, our small businesses, our sleep, our parking. No one business should be allowed to risk or impact a community this much. In summary, the applicant has had numerous opportunities to provide the adequate reports requested, and while they have entire departments to submit DAs, they have failed to provide sufficient evidence to show they will not negatively impact us, because the reality is they can't. I ask this panel tonight, in its important role this evening, to consider the site holistically in relation to its surroundings, to please confirm with the panel they have watched both videos I submitted as well. Consider how much impact and danger that already exists here and the stark contrast of peaceful night times. Approving this DA would cause a ripple effect of impacts throughout the neighbourhood. On behalf of hundreds of residents, I implore you, please refuse this application in full and protect our community. Botany does not want a McDonald's here in any way, shape or form. Thank you very much.
Thank you for that very passionate address, Ms. Thornton.
Oh, thank you.
Is it Ms. Mack that I have next on the list? Are you with us?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, it's Mr. Huss Charlie.
I think we're working from a different list here, which Mr. Huss.
Yes, good evening, Mr. Shields, Chair, distinguished members of the panel and viewers. I would like to further add to Ms. Thornton's objection and applaud Ms. Angela Lazaridis for compiling the report and endorse Council's recommendation for refusal. My name is Huss Chalish. I do a number of development applications on behalf of my company, Pinnacle Design Studio, and have appeared before the Bayside Planning Panel on a number of times, mainly in support of my applications, never on refusing. But I really want to thank Mr. Banform. We miss Madam Chair Jan Morell tonight. I was hoping she'd be on the panel, but that's not the case. I really want to. Huh?
I said I'm sorry about that.
Oh, it's Mr. Shields. You'll have to do. That's okay. No, I say that with all due respect. I really want to focus on Part 9B of the Botany South Precinct. Having been a local resident for the major of my part of my life and do a lot of applications in that area, the subject site is located between a transitional area between B7 and B4 mixed use. And the zone, while acknowledging that the land is zoned for this purpose, I do share Ms. Thornton's concerns that not enough boxes have been ticked and they cannot be resolved by way of having a fast food franchise there. I also want to draw your attention to a recent case decided by Commissioner Clay, McDonald's Australia versus Wollongong City Council, which was determined on the 20th of October 2021. And the major reasons, although the applicant was successful in that one, was that the road network had to cater for the generated purposes of the McDonald's franchise, and that while we cannot use health foods or fast foods as a reason for refusal, I think there is a number of contentious issues which cannot and have not been resolved by the applicant, that being traffic, and that being spillage and so on and so forth, landscaping. And the last thing I want to do, I don't want to take up too much of your time, is I don't think they have, from an architectural perspective, been sympathetic to the streetscape character and maintain amenity of the surrounding and residential developments in the area. And that is a big reason why it falls short. And the last thing I want to touch on in terms of the building, the setbacks do not comply. The setbacks range from 0 to 1.5 from the sides as such, even though it is set back a great amount from Botany Road. However, it can not be denied that there will be a significant impact on the road network, and Mr. Daly touched on it previously, and Ms. Thornton spoke passionately about it, and I just want to endorse Council's recommendations for refusal. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Mr. Morrissey, I can see you there. If you want up next, you are now.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and panel members. As you're aware, I'm a Ward 1 councillor, so I'm speaking on behalf of residents here, but also as a local resident. I live within 400 to 500 metres of the impacted site. So just a few points I'd like to make tonight. That we had the community has signed a petition containing 1,080 signatures. Now they were compiled in 12 days. Had I had the opportunity to extend that over the recent election campaign, we probably would have quadrupled that figure, I'm sure, because that was one of the #1 issues that came up as I was talking to residents. It really demonstrates the community's feelings about this development. As you're aware, members, there was 342 individual letters of objection, and I think that that's probably unprecedented for this part of the world. We have 10 or 15 from time to time from local streets. This is 342 individual people who have taken the time out of their day and really engaged. And we all know about local government engagement. It's not that high at the best of time, but this is something that is really, really important for the people of Botany, as they know the impacts that it's going to have. As the reports show, there's a lot of traffic danger here. There's no crossing of Botany Road within 200 metres. There's no crossing on Sir Joseph Banks Street, nor anywhere nearby. Now, as you know, McDonald's is a draw card. We've got walkers, runners, we've got cyclists. I walk my dogs past there a couple of times a day. There's people with the walkers, elderly, and there's young people in prams who live up in that Pemberton Street area in that development in Wilson Street, and it's just simply too dangerous. As you also know, there's a BP bus stop directly at the front of the BP. Now, there's constant traffic queues, there's trucks including B-doubles. Despite Mr. Daly's bans as a former minister, we still have B-doubles coming in illegally to this site, and that causes immense danger. People will be drawn to cross from the bus stops to Sir Joseph Banks Street. There is no safe access. Many of those people will be school children seeking to stop off at Macca's before they walk the rest of their way home, and they'll be like a moth to a flame, and it's just really inappropriate there. It's in with easy walk to Sir Joseph Banks Park, as many on the call know. That park has ecological and historical significance. There's no doubt that there's going to be environmental damage to that park through the excess rubbish that's generated typically in this style of development. You see it littered all over the streets, and that's well documented throughout any community where this occurs. McDonald's have made no commitment to clean up anywhere outside their boundaries, nor have they made any commitment to clean up within their boundaries after certain times due to the safety of their own workers, which is fair enough, but it is going to generate rubbish. It's not fitting with the desired future character of our suburb, and it is not in keeping with our existing village feel, as Mr. Daly alluded to. At night, everyone goes home, we're back to the village, and everyone accepts the status quo. We thank the panel for recently refusing the BP 24/7. Police had significant concerns with that, and I don't have to repeat those in this forum. But I think there's significant impacts on our community, and I'm speaking, as I said, not only on behalf of myself as a resident, but on behalf of the nearly 1,500 people who have taken the time to voice their concerns here. So thank you, Chair and panel, for your time.
Thank you, sir. Who have we got next on our list, on your list?
For you, Mr. Chair, Mr. Simon Payne.
Mr. Simon Payne, would you? There you
Hello.
are. Hello, Mr. Payne. Could you address the panel, please?
Sure. Thanks for allowing me to speak with regard to the DA, which I oppose. I'll speak to 7 aspects of the traffic report, which I feel are insufficient. Firstly, the SIDRA modelling. The model has not been calibrated or validated, so the presented impact of the development cannot be relied on to be accurate. The traffic surveys undertaken for this work should have recorded heavy vehicles and queue lengths to facilitate the calibration, but no evidence of this has been presented. The PM Peak SIDRA models appear to have used the wrong proportion of heavy vehicles from Sir Joseph Banks Street. They've used 5% rather than the 25% that was agreed with Transport for New South Wales. This is potentially a difference of 10 right-turning heavy vehicles in the 1 hour peak, so could well affect the results of the modelling. Secondly, the assessment takes no account of future conditions. Botany and Banks Meadow are forecast to grow in population by 12% to 2041 and 25% to 2056. This will obviously increase background traffic, and the intersections should have been tested for these future conditions. Thirdly, the trip generation. The assessment assumes 180 vehicles per hour, which is generally on the low end of estimates, and this hasn't been suitably justified. The initial December 2020 traffic report used 230 vehicles per hour as a sensitivity test, as recommended by Transport for New South Wales, but the latest report does not do this. The latest report does reference the BITSIOS report from 2016. Figure 417 of that report shows average peak hour rates greater than 180 on each weekday in other sites in Sydney, and it's up to 270 on Wednesday. So again, the trip generation assumptions are not sufficiently robust. Sensitivity testing hasn't been carried out, and therefore the overall assessment cannot be considered robust either. Fourthly, the trip distribution, no justification has been provided for the trip distribution assumptions used, and this is particularly important because of the median strip and the routes people will have to take in and out of the site. Fifth, the scope of the impact study. The impact of heavy vehicles at the BP truck stop has not been assessed. Rachel Thornton's submitted video evidence of these truck movements and truck parking in no stopping zones, which causes significant and consistent disruption in the area. Weekends, McDonald's often generates a lot of traffic at weekends, but this has not been assessed, and the road safety has not been assessed either. Sixth, the revised assessment proposes a central median. The impacts of this median has not been assessed, in particular the impact on residential streets caused by G-turning traffic. Seventh, the central median also requires a loss of parking spaces on both sides of Botany Road. Demand for on-street parking is significant in this area, and the negative impact of this change on local residents and businesses has not been assessed. So in summary, there are a range of issues which have not been sufficiently addressed by the traffic report. Many of these issues were raised by Council and Transport for New South Wales in their reviews, and the updated report still does not address these concerns. And the DA should be refused as a result of this and all of the other issues that the other speakers have spoken to today. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Payne. Mr. Payne, you're a traffic engineer?
I'm a transport planner, so I don't get involved in DAs very often, but I have been around, yes.
And you've certainly done your homework. Thanks for your presentation.
No worries, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The following 2 speakers are via the phone, so I'll just call Mrs. Mack, the affected neighbour.
Thank you. We still have them there?
Call ringing the number now. It's calling still.
Thank you.
Hello.
Hello. You're plugged into the planning panel.
Thank you very much. Am I able to start speaking?
Thank you. Can we hear from you?
Thank you. Yes, thank you for the opportunity for allowing me to speak tonight. We are in favour and support the council's report to refuse this application. We are local residents with a young family living directly opposite the application site. There are so many areas that concern us and the community in regards to this application. Having a McDonald's across the road from my family and neighbours who are either raising young children of their own or who have grandkids over isn't something we ever thought would happen. McDonald's is a global business you see on busy highways, close to shopping centres or beaches or close to major event locations, not on a road located within a residential community. Whilst Botany Road is considered a classified state road, the Botany South precinct in which this application is located is at the quiet end, where the road is used mostly by local traffic going about their day-to-day business. Once BP petrol station shuts at 10 p.m, the area road is quiet. The establishment of McDonald's on the proposed site would create an unfavourable situation that currently does not exist. The establishment of the business would create a gathering site which would result in new traffic flows and noise levels coming from cars wanting to turn into and exit the site. Increased noise levels would also come from cars starting up and from the car radios as customers listen to their music. The introduction of a gathering area can also lead to antisocial behaviour, which then can spill to off-site activities. Bayside Council already has a known issue of cartoons within the area, and establishment of the business would only serve to encourage more of this type of behaviour in our area. Having the yellow M sign spilling into our home, and in particular my bedroom window throughout the night, isn't something that we need or do the residents living across from the site. In addition to the signage light, the lights from the site in general will provide an interference into our lives, and there will be the headlights from the cars entering, moving around within the site, then exiting. The additional lighting and noise will lead to sleep disturbation from all residents, which will have a direct impact on our long-term health. Even if there were reduced trading hours, the establishment of a McDonald's on this site would be inappropriate, as it would create an unacceptable increase in traffic of the whole area. Another major concern associated with this application is that there is no traffic plan provided that will allow for this site to be used in a safe manner. The latest application has suggested the removal of parking out the front of our houses. Where would it be safe to have my kids get in and out of my car? Am I expected to park a distance away and walk my shopping into my house? The addition of the median strip is encouraging the use of illegal U-turns at Trippier and Pembleton Street, or extra traffic on the side streets around the site. McDonald's claims to be a company working for the community and produces many feel-good advertisements to back this claim. In this case, McDonald's is showing no respect or consideration for the immediate local community by proposing to establish an outlet in a mainly residential community. A more general but very important consideration is what McDonald's food stands for. It has been identified many times that eating McDonald's on a regular basis increases the customer risk to a number of health issues. In closing, the reality of having a McDonald's on our doorsteps could potentially have a very negative impact on all our children's lives. This isn't what we need or should we have to deal with within our community. Having this application approved will have major repercussions on the neighbouring residential community and diminish our quality of life through increased traffic movements, light spill, noise, associated antisocial behaviour and pollution. Thank you very much for hearing me tonight. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Could you just restate your name, please, for the record?
Yes, Alexia Mack.
Thank you. And we have someone else on the phone.
Yes, through you, Mr. Chair. I'm just calling Mrs. Tina Tassili now.
Thank you.
Calling at the moment.
Hello, Tina speaking.
Hello, is that Mrs. Tina Tassili?
Yes, speaking.
Mrs. Tina Tassili, this is the Bayside Local Planning Panel, and I believe you want to address this this evening.
Yes,
correct?
please. Yes.
Thank you for dialing in, and would you please address the panel now for 3 minutes? Thank you very much.
Thank you. Hi, my name is Tina, and I'm a small business owner of a cafe. I run with my 3 boys. Today is actually my 6-year anniversary of being in the cafe. I run the cafe and has definitely has had its ups and downs, with COVID being its biggest challenge. Business is tough, but I'm pushing through, keeping my boys in a job. The day we heard McDonald's was coming to our little town of Botany felt like doomsday. How can we ever compete with the drive-through system and their cheaper prices when McDonald's has $1 options? It's hard for us little businesses, in fact, impossible to even keep trying. My business and all small businesses is going to suffer if McDonald's goes through. I will not be able to compete and won't be able to keep my lease going. Along Botany Road, so many shops are empty. I know I was looking to set up a business. I would not be able to keep a lease knowing McDonald's is nearby. So Botany will be left empty and not inviting. Another big mention is the litter situation. I'm on Banksia Street, not far from where the McDonald's is actually going up, but I'm forever picking up McDonald's rubbish. It seems to always get tossed into our front yard of the cafe, and with no one else to pick it up, we are left cleaning it up. And McDonald's hasn't even hit Botany yet. I also heard that when Christina Curry presented our petition, which we had quite a lot of people sign in our cafe, a member of Rockdale Council stated that her home, also not far from McDonald's, was also covered with a lot of litter. So I do believe that if the McDonald's does come in Botany, it will be also a problem with trying to keep the area clean with all the rubbish that they have. And I'm not sure if there is a solution to keep all of the areas of Botany clean, not just only the surrounding area of McDonald's, but every other street around Botany. Like I said, I'm in Banksia Street and we have a lot of litter, and the McDonald's is in Mascot. I also would really like to keep my kids. It's a family business, and I'm hoping that I'm going to be able to keep the business that I have tirelessly working 7 days a week, keeping my business opened to Botany, and I'm hoping I'm going to be able to keep my kids in this business. But if a giant company comes in, I really feel it's going to put not only my business down, but all of the other small businesses in Botany hard to compete against them, and be hard to keep the business running. That's pretty much all I really want to say. It's been very hard to think about what's going on, but that's pretty much what's coming from my heart.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much for your address.
Okay, thank you.
Do we have any other persons addressing us on this matter?
Sorry, do I have anyone else?
No, thank you. We've been good to hear from you. No, we're after just other parties that have registered to speak. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Through you, Mr. Chair, that's all the registered speakers for this item.
Okay, so the late submission we received from Ms. Bennett was simply that, just the late submission, and she's not addressing. Okay.
It was just a written submission.
Yep. Okay. Thank you. Any comments from the panel? Any thoughts from the panel?
Sorry.
Yes.
Yeah. I just noted Rachel had asked if we could confirm that we have viewed the videos that she sent through to us. So if that needs to be done, then yes, I have viewed those videos.
Thank you.
There.
I think the panel should.
Gary, just a question. I believe excellent presentations from community. Is it possible that some of these, if not all of them, transcripted so that there is presentations, because each of points of view, but they are excellent in the sense of expanding on prepared by council staff.
I think that's a great idea, and everything from traffic to amenity to impacts on local properties is all extremely useful. And indeed, Mr. Morrissey's experience in the area, what he relayed to us, I think is abundantly useful. So good idea. If you have those people, if they haven't already covered those in their earlier submissions, please don't hesitate to send them to our panel governance who's getting together our recommendation that we will decide on shortly. I think I'm not telling too many tales out of school if I say that the panel in its earlier deliberations has expressed a great deal of concern about this application. And whilst I can't say what our recommendation or determination will be, there doesn't seem to be too much too many comments in favour of it. So I'll cease on that item now, and we'll make that decision in camera subsequently. And I'll go to the next item, which is 43 Anniversary Street, Botany. Can I thank all those submitters for their comments? You're welcome to stay on. Otherwise, you can leave the meeting. "43 Anniversary Street, Botany." I don't know. There's a lot to discuss about this. Is there, panel?
I have no comment other than to support the recommendation.
And indeed,
report.
Yep, nothing further from me, panel.
Or me. I too support the recommendation of council.
The last item I have in the public meeting is 222 Bunnerong Road, and I wonder, Mr. Tyson, we do have some questions for you. Thank you for staying around. And I'm wondering if we might deal with those now before we go into closed session.
Through you, Mr. Chair, we have Mr. David Javis, architect, speaker tonight for this item.
Is that in respect of the last item?
Yes, that is in respect to the last item.
Right, okay. Thank you, Mr. Jarvis.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I'm the applicant and the architect for the project. I just want to say I'm in support of the report that's been written and the recommendation for approval. I sent through an email to council requesting an amendment to one of the conditions. It's just a slight change in the wording of the positioning of the pool. When you follow the positioning of the pool to the letter of the words within the condition, it creates some very awkward spaces around the pool in terms of the deck and the coping. So I don't know if you've got a copy of the email that I sent through. On that, I've drawn some diagrams and suggested some words for a new condition that was in the spirit of the condition, but just gave us a little more opportunity in terms of the quality of the space created around the pool.
Just while we're looking for that, perhaps you can articulate it, please.
I will. The condition requests that the pool be rotated at 90 degrees and be set back 2.2 metres from the northern boundary fence. If we can rotate it a little in excess of 90 degrees so that it aligns with the southern boundary fence, we can create a little more space around the pool to the north. The condition also asks for a maximum width of coping on the northern side of 500 mil. When you look at that and you lay it out with the pool laid out 2.2 metres from the northern boundary, that gives you a coping that's 1700 mil from the northern boundary. We can actually get the pool a little closer to the southern boundary and create some more space on the northern side of the pool. So if the condition is written to say that the coping is to come no more than 1,800 mil from the northern boundary, which is actually a little in excess of what the conditions requested, we can make the spaces around the pool work a little better.
Panel, it's drawing GA03. Mr. Jarvis is taking its tip.
Yeah.
Thank you for that.
Okay.
Did you wish to say something else?
No, I'm available for questions, but no, it was just regarding the condition.
Well, you might have taken a little bit of pressure off, Mr. Tyson. Thank you for your presence.
Okay, no worries.
Ross, I know you've got a couple of questions.
Yeah, it was, I guess, there's been some clarification from Mr. Jarvis about the configuration for the pool. I was just trying to find the latest drawing, because I think we did get the latest drawing, to understand the resolution along boundaries and the extent to which it complies with setbacks from the boundaries, particularly on the south and the west. I'd be also interested to know if there's anywhere in that rear yard where you can actually plant a tree, as opposed to the landscaping plan, which shows plant material, but landscaping, and whether or not it could be clarified, how do you access the studio? What is the studio going to be used for? Is there a reconfiguration of the staircase coming from the deck on the ground floor down into the garden? I guess it's, to my mind, that I have not seen any diagrams which really optimize the potential use of the rear courtyard or rear backyard for this project.
So was that a question for myself or for the planner?
I think
it's a question to you, please.
Okay.
I think it's you, sir.
The use of the studio will be primarily as a home office studio area, so it's purposefully detached from the residence. Over the past couple of years, it's become very apparent that a home office that's a little detached from the main dwelling is quite a useful.
Where's the door, Mr. Jarvis?
It's the sliding doors on the
at the bottom of the outside door?
Yeah, that's right, in the courtyard. The level to which the stairs actually reach the courtyard remain the same, so there's no change to the stairs that come down from the deck. In terms of the positioning of the pool and how that works, it's been dealt with by a condition of consent, so there were no updated drawings provided. The email that I sent through showed diagrams that interpreted the condition and suggested an alternative wording.
Mm-hmm.
So that space that's outside the studio, how does that work?
So you have, bear with me, you have a paved courtyard area that has a barbecue in, so that will be used as and that's partially covered, and that will be used as anybody uses sort of an external terrace that's connected to an indoor space. Above that, there's a balcony area that also provides some amenity for the residents. And the intent with the pool area is to use the pool in the summer and actually put a cover over the pool that allows that to be used as an external deck in the months where the pool's not feasible.
So is your section BB?
And the staircase, is the staircase from the ground floor down to the garden area, is that remaining where it's proposed?
It is, yes.
With the reconfiguration of the pool?
It is, yes.
Yeah, Gary, I think you were just going to suggest, can you just explain, David, section BB then, how the heights work?
If you give me a moment so I can just open
Yeah,
BB.
apologies. Just, it looks quite sunken. I'm trying to work out how you access that from the backyard.
Yeah, exactly.
So how you access the...
Well, I'm just, when you look in the section, there's obviously a big step down. So I'm just trying to work out do you go upstairs to get outside? I don't understand how the section works with the backyard.
Okay. So you have a direct connection to the garden from the living room and the kitchen area.
Mm-hmm.
You can see those steps take you directly down into there. There is no connection internally between the studio and the main dwelling.
Yep.
So there's a path that goes around the side of the house, and then you enter the studio from the courtyard area. You can likewise exit the studio from the courtyard area into the covered terrace area, and then up a set of steps into the main garden area.
Okay, a set of steps. Yep.
Yep.
Does the ventilation for the studio, how is that achieved to be compliant?
We have openable windows. We have openable windows onto the terrace and also on the southern elevation.
Are they part of a previous approval, or are they? They don't seem to be shown in this.
The previous approval, we had an undercroft space there, but it wasn't utilised as habitable space. So what we've done is we've excavated a little deeper to create the home office, and we put the windows in and the courtyard in.
Sorry, I'm just wondering from the drawings, how do we work out where the windows are?
If you look at the southern elevation, it's drawing DA50. You'll see the profile of the terrace and the steps and the windows.
So there's a highlight window in the southern elevation. Is the only window other than the opening onto the terrace?
Other than the sliding doors that run the full width of the room, yes.
Yeah, but that's under the actual terrace is also enclosed above and on three sides.
Well, the terrace, if we just go to the elevation above, the deck doesn't go all the way to the end of the terrace on the southern side. It abuts the neighbour on the northern side, so it's open on two sides and it has a boundary fence on one side.
I'm sorry, I'm not understanding that.
If you can take a look at drawing DA03, which shows the position of the deck that sits above the terrace.
Yes.
You'll be able to see there's a timber screen on the southern side of the deck. That indicates the extent of the deck at that level. You can see in grey below them a set of steps that takes you down to the terrace and then back up again. So the terrace that services the studio is open to the rear garden, and it's also open to the south. On the northern side, there's a boundary fence there that encloses it.
I suppose my question is the apertures or openings that are on that, it'll be the western wall of the studio.
They are, but they're also quite heavily shaded.
Sorry, are they windows or doors or walls?
Let me just open the drawing. I believe they're sliding doors. If I can open, if you open drawing DA51, that's taken from the rear garden. You can see that the terrace is sunk, but you can see that that entire wall is free glazed panels, which will be sliding doors that allows pretty much the entire 2/3 of the entire wall to be open to the terrace.
That DA51's a useful drawing.
That's good.
Yeah.
Ross, do you have any other questions?
No, just I'd be interested to understand from Mr. Jarvis the rationale for the significant increase in the FSR which is beyond what was approved, obviously, and beyond the controls that exist for this location?
We don't see the additional space of having any impact on anybody off the site, or even being perceivable by anybody who's off the site. But in terms of the owners of the property, it actually gives them a space where they can work at home. They're a family with young children, and to have a space where you can isolate yourself away from the rest of the family and work is becoming increasingly valuable.
Okay. And just a clarification, apparently in some of the drawings we have, it shows a clouding around the front portion of the roof. Is that not intended, or is there a change to the roof?
Can you tell me the specific drawing?
Yeah, the drawing is DA52. It shows a clouding above bedroom 3.
Yeah, 52. If you bear with me, I just need to. Yeah, 52. I believe that those drawings were actually revised. What the change that happened during the assessment process was it was originally approved with a condition of consent to lower the ridge height. When the alterations and additions went in, we neglected to actually reduce the ridge height on the drawing, so we were asked to amend that and pull that back down. That may explain the cloud.
So there's no change now, huh?
No, we're not, and we never were intending to change any part of the dwelling other than the addition of the studio and some changes to the garden. It was, I think it was 20 or 30 mil difference in level that we didn't pick up.
Okay.
Do you have any further questions of Mr. Jarvis, Ross?
No, I'm fine. Thank you.
Ladies?
Nothing from the chair.
I've got a question of Mr. Tyson, and it goes to Ross's concern about floor space. Mr. Tyson, I'm sure you've read the report.
Yes.
And you've got a copy in front of you?
I do, yes.
And on page 275 of the report, it's got an interesting collection of photographs.
You're referring to streetscape photographs?
Yes, I'm referring to that. The top photo, interestingly, takes us from 214 to 220, where the bottom photo takes us from 218 to 224. When you were looking at the justification for your 4.6, did you look at the floor space of these neighbouring properties? And if so, can you say whether they were complying or not complying with the development standard for the locality?
No, the floor space ratios of those particular sites were not checked, so compliance can't be confirmed. From general observation, a number of those sites were, a number of those alterations and additions you're referring to, of the first floor and whatnot, were of an older style. So, but to answer your question, no, the floor space ratios and subsequent compliance were not checked.
Okay. Any other questions of the panel? Okay.
No, thank you.
Mr. Tyson, thanks for staying back. That's very helpful. Mr. Jarvis, thank you for plugging in. Your explanation was of a number of points was quite useful. We'll leave the public meeting now, ladies and gentlemen, and we'll bid you farewell, and we'll now continue our deliberations on each of the matters that we've had before us. Thank you all for your input. The determination will be placed on the council website probably in the next 48 hours. Thank you all.